or an event. Okay, so these are basically words that indicate action, state of being, or an event. And for majority of the time, you always focus on the action verbs like chalna, like which means to walk, bolna, which means to speak, hasna, to laugh, or rona, to cry. Okay, that's primarily the action. Now you will be also be learning about state of being as well as event. Okay, so that's the definition part of it. And examples, as I mentioned, like when you say मैं पानी पीता हूँ, you're simply saying that I drink water. Pani is water, and pina is the verb which means to drink, and pita is like for masculine singular. It's the verb conjugation, the way it works. You remove na and you put ta. Okay, so that's मैं पानी पीता हूँ और मैं गाना गाता हूँ. Now, let me kind of give you how typically verbs are kind of covered in books or as well as in many like formal university classes, right? You'll really see that you'll classify them in three different categories. First, you call them action verbs. That's the first category. And the second one is basically when you talk about linking verb. Okay, and in the third section you're talking about helping verb. Helping verbs. Okay. First few minutes or the first 5-10 minutes you will have some theoretical section, and right after that we will jump into the actual practice of these verbs. Okay, so action verbs, these verbs, as I mentioned previously, they express action. Okay, they express action. Okay, they express action. Carl, you want to give some examples of some of the action verbs? Let me unmute you.
Yeah,
Yep.
so मैं सोता हूँ, I sleep, or मैं सोऊंगा, I will sleep.
Okay, मैं सोता हूँ और मैं सोऊंगा. What else? Can you give more examples that are not so common?
Dorna, to run, maybe.
Okay, दौड़ना.
Terana, to swim.
Mm-hmm.
Uncommon ones.
Okay, तैरना is to swim and दौड़ना is to run. Okay, now let's jump to the next one. Those are the good one. Anadidi, you want to give some examples as well? Some of the
जी
verbs.
make बकाना
Paka.
सोना लिखना सुनना
Okay.
दौड़ना
Dau-
हंसना रोना
Very- Those are very good examples. Right. So now let's jump and we'll cover this section in detail. I just want to kind of first summarize it. Now let's jump to the linking verb. Okay. When we think about linking verb, these are the verbs that connect. I mean, these verbs, they connect subject. They connect subject with the noun and adjective that you have. Okay. They connect subject with the noun or the adjectives in the in the sentence. Okay. Now, what are the examples of linking verb? Carl, can you think of some examples?
No, I'm not actually sure what you mean by it.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm sure you looked at it. Right? So, think about it this way. So, these are the verbs that connect subject with the noun or adjective. So, when I say Carl, when I say Carl is, when I say Carl is a student, okay, is your linking verb. because it's
Okay.
right? Because it's connecting Carl, who is like the subject here, with the with the kind of like the later part of my sentence. Okay, even when I say
I see.
Carl,
So
even when I say Carl is smart, it's your adjective here. Okay, so it's
I see.
linking in the noun and the adjective in the sentence. Okay, those are the kind of the the linking verbs. Okay, they're also known as to be form of the verb. That
So it's like Hona.
yeah. Oh no, exactly right. To be form of the verbs. So linking forms they're always considered as like to be forms. Okay, and we'll go over them in detail so you can brush up the fundamentals there. And the third one is the helping verbs. Okay, Anandiji, do you have any idea about helping verbs?
J- helping कर सकना
Very good, right? So kar sakna, awesome.
uh, गाना चाहती हूँ गाना
Chahat,
चाहना गाना
chahna,
चाहना
very good.
uh, और जाना चाहना सकना चाहना um, और आ जाना
Which one? कौन सा?
आ जाना
आ जाना.
helping आ जाना
Mhm.
um,
So basically, if I'm understanding you correctly, all the modal verbs, right?
uh,
Modal verbs are considered the helping verbs. Okay, so they are called modal verbs. In English, they are typically can, could, may, might, should. All those are kind of considered helping verbs. Okay, so the big picture again, you should think about verbs in three different segments: action verbs, linking verbs, and helping verbs. Action verbs, they express a particular action, as Kamal and Hanadi, they mentioned, like bolna, gana, सुनना, पढ़ना, पढ़ाना. These are all basically action verbs. Um, Now, linking verb, when we spoke about them, these are basically the verbs which are connecting your subject with the noun or the adjective, right? So, which means like all the to be form of the verbs, like when you say मैं गाता हूँ, right? It's pretty clear, like in this case Ghana is the verb which is basically your action verb, but what about whom, right? In the end, that's basically your linking verb. Okay, I or I am singing, your am in English is your linking verb. Okay.
mm,
um, so similarly, like for different, based on the scenario and the tense, there are different linking verbs which we'll be covering. Okay, it can be tricky, especially when you learn it from the Hona side. It's very important that you know all the usage of the Hona. Okay, now the third one is modal verbs, which are basically helping verbs, and these, if you really talk about the definition of the helping verb, they're used to describe. So basically, they used after action verb or the linking verb to convey more information. Okay, so let me write it down. So they convey additional information. They convey additional information about your subject. Okay, so when you say मैं आ सकता हूँ, okay, मैं आ सकता हूँ, that means I can come. Okay, sentence is very clear. मैं आ सकता हूँ, your आना is your action verb. Okay, sakna is your helping verb, and then who is your linking verb. Okay, so we've studied the verbs in different ways in the previous classes, but we never kind of like broken them down into different buckets and definition. So in this, I mean, my attempt was that we will revisit verbs in different ways, so all of you have the similar understanding of it. Okay, so now in the first section we'll primarily use action verbs, and I want to really spend more and more time on the verbs, so because it's a very important topic. As you kind of, even if you're a beginner or intermediate or advanced, it's very important that you master the verbs. Okay, so let's start on the action verbs now and how to further classify the action verbs. And as always, throughout the class, if you have any questions, you can write it on the Google Hangout chat or on the YouTube chat as well. Okay, or Facebook. So action verb. How do you further classify them? Um, you can further classify them in many ways. First is like your transitive versus intransitive. And we covered it in the past, and it can be the most challenging topic for many students because it's very difficult to or to know which one is transitive and which one is intransitive. Okay, the second way to kind of further classify them is regular versus irregular verb. And we do have both regular as well as irregular verbs in Hindi as well. Okay. Now there are many ones like causative, etc., but we will kind of cover them in the subsequent classes. Causative verbs, and then compound verbs. Okay. Now we'll start with the first two topics, and then and we'll practice them first. Okay. Carl, you mind sharing your understanding about the transitive versus intransitive verbs? What are those? You can unmute yourself.
Yes.
Can you? Okay. I don't. I think you're muted on your end. Okay. Hanadi ji, you want to give it a try?
जी जी
Yeah.
जी जी ट्रांसिटिव वर्ब जैसे जाना ट्रांसिटिव वर्ब इसमें क्रिया की जरूरत नहीं नहीं है कर्म नहीं है
Okay.
कर्म नहीं है
Okay.
there is no object no need for object in for transitive verb
No need of object. Is it transitive or intransitive?
intransitive verb sorry
Okay. So
intransitive verb
okay. So
intransitive like
Okay.
jana
Mm-hmm.
ट्रांसिटिव वर्ब इसमें कर्म होता है जैसे खाना मैंने खाना खाया
Okay. So you're saying यहाँ पे कोई object नहीं है
हाँ
और
ट्रांसिटिव इसमें ऑब्जेक्ट होता है
okay. 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 So explain more. How do you know कि यहाँ पे object है और यहाँ पे object नहीं है?
intransitive verb I don't need no need to for an object to complete the sentence like I can say मैं गई
Okay.
I went so
Okay.
no need to say I went to mention the object but when I use the transitive verb I have the object is needed in the sentence मैंने खाना खाया I have to mention what I ate already
Okay. So you have to mention what you ate. Okay. So that's a good
yeah
one.
without object without object the sentence is incomplete
Okay, without object, the sentence is incomplete. Okay, so now let's reflect a little bit more on that. Okay, it's an important topic, and having you in the class will give you another perspective, right? So let's take another example. Okay, and we'll take many such examples because we want to cover the action verb. So let's take you already covered jana, so I'm gonna write bolna, and
जी
I'm gonna write dekhna. And I'm going to write one more, which is basically padhna.
जी
Okay. Bolna is to,
intransitive verb
so bolna is to speak first. Okay. So
to
bolna is,
speak जी
so मैं बोलता हूँ और मैं
हाँ
बोलती हूँ
बोलती
together.
हूँ
Okay. देखना is
देखना to watch
to watch. Okay.
watch
To see. Okay.
see or
To watch.
watch
Yeah. To watch or to see. Like so, मैं give me examples. Simple examples.
मैं टीवी देख रही हूँ
Okay. मैं टीवी देख रही हूँ. Okay. Now padhna is
to learn
to learn or to study.
to study or learn
Yeah, very good. Or to read. Okay. Now let's go over each of those and see which one is transitive and which one is intransitive. So let's start with the first one. Mm,
बोलना
yeah. What do you think?
बोलना मुझे लगता है इंट्रांसिटिव वर्ब होता है। मैं बोला, मैं बोली।
ओके, मैं बोला और मैं बोली, मैंने बोला।
मैंने बोला।
You can say मैंने बोला also.
हाँ,
मैंने
इंट्रांसिटिव वर्ब मैंने बोला।
okay. Okay. What about you, Carl? What do you think? बोलना.
Uh, I intransitive.
ट्रांसिटिव वर्ब।
How do you like? I'm sure you, when you learn Hindi, you also came across this topic. How did you?
Yeah.
What was
So
your understanding?
someone just told me to say like, you ask the question what to the verb, so you say what spoke. Doesn't make sense, but if you say what watched, you watched the movie. What spoke, you can't say. That's how I try and look it up.
Okay, so another important thing, you're saying that somebody told you to use a formula, right? Which is a very good one, right? So you said did, you, and then the verb. Okay, so you're saying like somebody told you to use this pattern. If it is what or whom. Hanadiji, did you also learn it this way? Like to use a
जी,
formula? Okay. So what or whom did you is basically you put it and then you put the verb. Okay. So you say what
जी,
did you speak? Okay.
हाँ,
If it is make sense, if it makes sense, that means there is definitely an object. Okay. What did you speak? Like when you're
आपने
saying
क्या बोला?
आपने क्या बोला? Very good. That means you will be saying something that man.
ट्रांसिटिव।
Yeah,
जी,
मैंने
जी,
क्या
जी, ट्रांसिटिव वर्ब।
give an example of like how do you answer that? आपने क्या बोला?
हम्म,
So basically, if I'm asking you this question, आपने क्या बोला? How would you respond to that?
मैंने बात बोली।
मैं बहुत बोली. I spoke a lot.
जी,
Okay. मैंने um, Carl, how would you respond to that if I'm asking you what did you speak?
I
मैंने
say something
सच ही
like
बोली।
Huh?
maine Hindi boli, and boli because Hindi is feminine verb.
Okay. Okay.
फेमिन।
So you got it right. Whenever you are kind of like able to, have this, what and whom, if those are answering you certain things, that means there is an object to the verb, okay, which is receiving this action, and those are
जी,
basically transitive verb. However, now let's go to the um,
देखना।
ekna. What is it?
हम्म,
Is it transitive or intransitive?
ट्रांसिटिव वर्ब।
Carl, what do you think?
Transitive for sure.
Okay, Carl, why do you think it's transitive?
It's gonna have an object like what did you watch? You watched a movie maybe, or you watched TV. So there's the object, and a movie's feminine, so it's gonna be like datey, movie datey.
So what you did
जी,
was like you took the formula, which is what or whom did you,
Yep.
and then just put it as it is. Like what did you watch? Okay, and definitely that if you answer it like okay आपने क्या देखा, and you can say मैंने टीवी देखा और मैंने मूवी देखी और मैंने anything, right? I mean मैंने you know I'm just thinking now. uh, any object basically, right? So it's indicating that there's the action, okay, and that's why it's also a transitive verb. Okay, now let's look at this one, padhna. Okay, and just to illustrate it further, just so that everyone is together, right? So when you say padhna, I mean, and I need to know whether it's a transitive or intransitive. All I have to do is like I have to put it in the formula. Okay, what or whom, one of those should make sense. Did, you, and then in this case, I'll put this word called study. Did you study? Okay, and I can say I studied Hindi or like French, anything, right? Or mathematics. The fact that I'm able to respond to it with a particular you know object or a particular answer which is appropriate, it tells me that it's a transitive verb. Okay, so there is
जी,
a object which is receiving the action. Now let's look at some more examples of intransitive verb, and then after that we'll kind of give exercise to everyone. Okay, and again, the big picture is still the same. Okay, think of verbs in three different categories: your action verbs, your linking verbs, and your helping verbs. Within action verbs, right now we're focusing on transitive and intransitive. Okay. If some of those topics you're not able to follow, don't worry. We'll just make sure everyone is together. Okay. As we go through the exercises. So now let's go over some of the examples of intransitive verbs. Okay. So some very common examples of intransitive verbs. Hana Diji.
जी जाना
Okay. So jana means to go.
वो to go
Okay. What else?
uh, नहीं
Okay.
सोना सोना
Okay.
हंसना
Okay.
जाना गोना हंसना
Sleep. Okay. What about you, Carl? Give
जी
some.
क्या
I'm just asking Carl also the same thing. Give some examples of intransitive verbs.
I've gone blank, but um, when a verb has karana, is it always a transitive verb or is it always an intransitive verb? I can't remember which is which. But there's a
So,
trick like that as well.
yeah. So very good question. What do you think, Hanadiji? Karna, is it a transitive verb or intransitive?
नहीं नहीं
Then
transitive verb because I need object to complete the sentence like मैंने काम किया मैंने
okay.
काम किया
Okay.
transitive verb
Okay.
करना
मैंने homework किया. Okay. मैंने
what did you do आपने क्या किया
does that answer your question, Carl?
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hanadiji, when you
जी
know what's the best way for you to how did you remember all the transitive verb and intransitive verb? Did you just memorize them or tell us your experience because you also received the Hindi education formally in some
नहीं नहीं अनुभव से
Acha.
by experience
Okay. So basically from your experience you're saying, right?
जी
Anubhav said. Okay.
जी
Right.
जी
So let's go over some of the examples of intransitive verb. Okay. Give me 1 minute so I can mute. There's some background noise.
that's wrong
So, so now let's go over the. So one thing is like in the intransitive verb there is no object required as as mentioned by Hana. So when I say jana, why do I say it's an intransitive verb? Because there is no object required. Okay. Let's try to put it in the formula and see if it makes sense. Okay. I if I say if I
I
say
can say what did you go
right. So when I try to put it in the formula, what did you go? Okay, what or whom? It doesn't make sense. Okay,
हाँ
which means to go. It's an intransitive verb. Okay, means to jana. Okay, jana. Now let's look at another word, hasna. Okay, when I try to put it in the formula, what or whom did you? Okay, it's not really required and it doesn't really make sense, which tells me it's also an intransitive word. Okay. Um, Now let's look at this one, sona. What did you sleep? Okay, it doesn't make sense. However, when I say where did you sleep, it still makes sense. I slept at my home. That still makes sense, right? So that means like it's where, which is basically, but where doesn't tell you whether it's where. It's not an indication that there is an object that is receiving the action. Okay, that means sona is also an intransitive verb. Okay, so that's the broad categorization of transitive and intransitive. but I still want to quiz. So why don't we just take I'm going to write down some verbs here, and I'm going to ask each of you to do like in class exercise. That I'm going to give you some time to think about it and write some small sentence to give me your understanding over it, and that will give me the confirmation whether all of you are on the same page or not. So give me just 1 minute, and I'm going to write down some exercises here. Okay.
जी
And exercise is simple. You have to just go over all of them and tell me whether it's a transitive or intransitive. Okay. So I have cry, which is basically Rona, and I have to run, Dodna, and I have I'm gonna give you five. Okay, so I'm gonna write three more, and I want to make it a little bit tricky. So okay, so I have to give, which is Dana. Okay, and then I have to reach, Pahunchna. Pahunchna. Okay, and then I have to sit. Okay, Batna. Okay, to sit is like to batna. Now, these are five verbs. Okay, generally when we studied in the like in the previous classes, we didn't really put them into like one bucket. We just learned the verbs, and I told you should remember the infinitive form of the verb, which is like to cry and to run, and all of them are ending with na, like rona, dodna, dena, pahunchna, and batna, which is fine, which is perfectly fine if you're picking up the language. But as you go through the advanced topics, you need to be able to put them, which what kind of verbs are they. Okay, so the exercise is pretty simple. Your task is to tell me whether these are transitive or intransitive, and write it on the comment section. Okay, that's the first one. The other one, if you want to go above and beyond, you can give like a good example of each of those. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time right now, 2 minutes to each of you to kind of do this exercise. And if you need any help, you can also ask about that. And same thing for the folks who are watching live on Facebook. Try it. It gives me some confidence that you were able to follow the. Okay. Okay. So I have some answers now. Sharanji is saying 3 and 4 transitive, 1, 2, and 5 are intransitive. Okay, very good. Let's see what other people are thinking. Okay. So let's look at this one. To cry, Rona. What do you guys think? Let's just focus on Rona, all of you, because I'm sure you already gone through the list. What do you guys think? Rona, transitive or intransitive? Okay.
intransitive
Okay. So I'm getting some answers now. A lot of people are saying intransitive. Okay. What do you guys think, Karji? What do you think? Transitive or intransitive for Rona? think you have to unmute. So it's this one is like intransitive.
Intransitive verb.
Okay, because again, if you use the formula, what or whom, when you say what did you cry, it doesn't really make sense, or whom did you cry, it doesn't make sense either, right? So which makes it a intransitive verb. ठीक है हनादी जी, क्या बोलते हो आप?
Cry intransitive verb.
इंट्रांजिटिव वर्ब है, ओके। कुछ एग्जांपल दो इसके।
बच्चा रो रहा है।
बच्चा रो रहा है, that means a kid is crying. Okay, more examples.
ये लड़की रोती है।
यह लड़की रोती है,
लड़की
this girl she cries.
This girl is crying.
Okay, पास्ट एग्जांपल दो, पास्ट टेंस में कैसे बोलोगे? The girl cried.
Cried. लड़की रोई।
लड़की रोई, ओके, और लड़का रोया। बोथ
रोया।
very good. Now let's look at all of you. If you can, like, write down the comment. Let's focus on the second word, which is basically your run. Okay, so everyone, let's see what is to run. Dodna. Is it a transitive or intransitive? Okay. So most of the people on the Facebook Live, they are saying it's intransitive word.
जी।
What do you think, Hanadi ji?
Intransitive verb.
Intransitive है, क्यों?